There we go.
Steve Fitzgerald.
Katie Souls.
Sparks Thompson.
Tiffany Gatesman.
Bill Palmer.
Greg Beckler.
Who do we got online?
Just Sarah.
Nobody else is online. Abby's in the woods.
Oh, that's right. Nobody else online?
Nobody else is online.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any additions to our agenda today? Anybody want to make a change? No? Okay. I think we can get right into the consent, or do we need to make the motion for the consent? And make a motion for the consent, anybody?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we have the minutes. That was the
That was
That
that
was
was just then, and then we have open forum. Anybody have anything to talk about today? No? We can move on to discussion and possible action, wayfinding, design, presentation, Chamber of Commerce with Catherine Ross.
Before we roll the presentation up there, I just want to review again what this is about. So, a couple of years ago, when we wrote the community sustainability plan, one of the main tactics in it, and one of the important areas of focus was to increase the infrastructure in in the whole valley, in the communities. And a piece of that infrastructure improvement is to look at wayfinding. So wayfinding is more than just signs. It's, how do people get around? How do they know where shops are? How do they know when they're close? How do they know where we are? How do we find their way around? So this presentation has a lot to do with, we've spent a lot of time with a consultant, time and money, with a high level consulting firm that has studied our valley from the top of Berthoud Pass to the sports complex. So that's how far we went. It's a general big picture master plan study. So do you think that we got into all the trails and said, this is the trails plan? That is not what this is. This is really big picture study, and identifying what they saw and what they feel are the most are different projects. So they have not prioritized them. They've simply looked at projects and said, these would be projects when it comes to wayfinding that some of them could be done jointly as a community, because there are definitely economies of scale to work together on signage or on a website or on an app, or some of them are broken out that each community would kind of prioritize what they want. The one trail that was very important, that was identified by all the people on the sustainability governance group, was a Fraser River Trail, because we all really depend on it. We all feel like it's very important. But again, it's the big picture of the Fraser River Trail. So you have to drive around one day and pretend that you were never here before, and see if you can find the Fraser River Trail.
Yeah, it's tough.
You'll find it. And so these are the issues we're trying to see if you can find where you do turn into go and park at Winter Park Resort. So Winter Park Resort has kind of their own bucket in this plan, because there were just things that I never noticed until I drove around, specifically looking for, can I find that thing? So the only sign at the main entrance, and I'm allowed to say this because Scotty, the only sign at that main entrance says bus parking. So there is no sign that says you all can park there. There's no sign that says parking garage this way, or car. It just says, and it's a little black. It's a white sign with black letters with a bus, and it says bus park. And it's the only sign that lets you. So if you don't live here, you don't. There are 2 C lots. So C lot at the Jane, that's not it. It's Utah Junction.
Yep.
But so if you tell somebody meet me at C lot and they look it up on Google Maps, they end up at Winter Park.
That's right.
So those are the really big picture things we're looking at. When you get to the top of Berthoud Pass, there should be signage that tells you that it's not very far to get to Bridge.
Leave Second Creek off, would you?
No. If you want to leave it off, then you can't complain when Broom Hunt doesn't do well.
That's okay.
Okay.
There's so many people. Anyway,
People, there are some people that think, or there are people who are trying to find it and
Yeah,
they're lost.
it's
and then
true.
It's not.
yeah,
we-
that's
we
not right.
Talk about it in things and tell people about it,
Yeah,
and then, and it is on their forest. I
Yeah.
hate to tell you, it's not our
That's- I
forest, it's
know.
everybody's forest.
Okay.
And then they try to find it and then they're lost, and that's not a good experience. That's not, for a new resident, that's not a good experience.
Yeah.
For somebody who moves here full time, it's just, me telling them, go past the big rock and look for a fox or something. So that's what this is about. So I'm gonna show you the full presentation. And I think the most important thing to say to all of you is that any kind of action that you want to take on this, I would assume, it's a good time for everybody to look at it. That the staff, the town staffs, Winter Park and Fraser, and probably somebody from the county will be meeting to talk about budget and what they think are priorities. So I'm sure they'll want your input on what you think are priorities, priority projects in this grouping. Or you might say, we don't like any of this, and you need to go tell them that. Okay, so this is your chance to look at all the design and everything. You can go tell them you don't like it. I will tell you that they worked for months on this, but they still respect your opinions, so that's why we're here today. And I promise to answer as many questions as I can when I'm done, but I'm double booked, and many of my fellow Grant Foundation board members dropped off today and they don't want, so I have big parties. Right meeting, so I can vote on it. So with that, we'll start the presentation.
thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. So the name of the company is Word.
So little.
Maybe.
Apologize. I don't know, it wants to be tiny. We get to see it, what's on
Can you read that okay?
Totally.
I don't know why it's so tiny.
Do you want to put crazy? It comes up.
Concentration for mine.
There it goes. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, we do. Oh,
I think we're all right.
Okay. So Merge Consulting did this work. They have done big projects. I think I reviewed that with you earlier at some point in time. I'm gonna show you the whole. design. So we'll start off so that you can see the summary in the design. So we looked at, this is just quick shots of what they looked at while they were here, when they were here and did their field study. We definitely, they looked at good, bad, and different, just wanted to show that there are lots of different signs. And again, the other idea here is to build continuity between the communities so that when residents and guests come, they feel it helps build a sense of community. Am I doing it?
Yeah, I think you can.
Okay. Definitely looked at mapping. One of the projects that you'll see at the end is that we are looking at an app and a community map that they would design. It won't have anything on it except things that we all decide we want on the map that can get changed. What does this one say? 'Cause now-
Gateways?
Yeah, oh, so this marks the different places. This is, the first one is gateways, and I should have looked on, but I will try my best. So again, they identified gateways. Where gateway signage would be, which is what, like you've been talking about with entrance signage. So top of Berthoud Pass, they did identify some places that are, that identify to people what they are. And so some of those ideas that you see, the one with the car, they were looking at some designs for gateways that would be shared. And that's kind of the side of the gateway sign.
Try to turn the lights on.
So they identified them all. We don't need to read them all, but you'll get this Sarah has this presentation, so you'll get the whole presentation. What's important for you to know is that this has the plan is pretty specific, has lots of the information that you want to have. So those are the gateway signs.
Catherine, the number 1 gateway, where is that?
I can't read it.
I
I
can't.
assume that's the top of Orchid Path.
It says downtown
Oh,
Fraser,
downtown Fraser.
Yeah.
downtown Winter Park.
It is a north-south. It is an appropriate map. North is on the top.
I understand that. I mean, is it at the boundary of the town? Is it?
It's identified in general at that
Okay,
end of
okay,
town.
so
Again, none of this is,
Not, you're not.
it's all big picture.
Got it.
So you have a sign there now, so they identified that where signage would be. It's exactly where you would put it as a community would be up to you.
Okay.
We aren't to that level of
Yep.
detail.
So somewhere before you come into Fraser from the
From
Grand
Grand.
direction.
Cool.
And the one on the south side, obviously, again, it's gonna be what the group determines is appropriate. Not whoever's building the sign. These guys are not dictating anything because they're just here to give us a general master plan. Is it?
Should.
It should.
Is it not?
It's
Okay, for you.
okay. What's this, Fraser River Trail?
Yes.
So they did identify Fraser River Trail, and for this project, that one of their recommendations is to do a pilot program on Fraser River Trail, which would be main signage, and this is kind of where they identify trailhead signage and more directional signage to show people where the trail is and how to get there. Kind of want to get into the
Parking.
all the parking. So we would want to identify parking consistently so that no matter where you are, there's signage that tells you that there's parking there. And there's a whole separate parking plan for the resort.
Interpretive.
So they're suggesting this look for interpretive signage on the Fraser River Trail that we want to replace. This is just a basic design that they wanted to show us of things that we could change on those interpretive signs that everybody wants to make better. I saw some cool ones where you use an app. So it's a self-interpret as you go along the trail. So instead of just investing with what we have, can we think bigger than, that also helps for people with sight difficulties. It's make it a little bit more interesting. You can put what you want on it. You can play a game on it. You can have it be kids interact with the trail and the environment. There's lots of opportunities. It doesn't believe me. So now we started to look at actual designing what should be included in when we're thinking about signage. So these are some of the basic designs. Mostly what you're looking at here is that things have to be a certain height. They really do have to be CDOT approved, like according to the regulations, and also take into account of where we live, that when you build the sign, it might look really high up in the summer. And then in the winter, it looks, oh my, I can barely see that. So this is just their study at heights and when you can read it, how big it needs to be.
Oh, why does one look weird?
Again, just looking at different heights of signs and what they should look at. Pedestrian signs, again. All of this, you're gonna get this, so when you wanna look at detail, you'll just know that they actually did do a study. So now at Winter Park Resort, they looked at all the pieces at Winter Park Resort and have lots and lots of suggestions. So right now at the resort, they just added signs on whenever they needed to, and the logos aren't the same, the materials aren't the same. When you come into the different portals that have been developed, there isn't the right information. So they've made a lot of recommendations to the resort, of things they can do up there. And the resort is that they are working with this, so they'll be working as a community, that things will work the same up there. As well as obviously there's gonna have to be new signage when we build all that new stuff.
Parking and college portals.
Oh, and this is right, they identified the portals at the resort. So they looked at some of the signage, and again, this is just the sizes for those resort, what it would look like, what it should be. So now let's look at the designs. So this is what we worked on the most. So we looked at the 3 logos that are involved in this project. And we wanted to be able to have consistency, but still maintain identity. And now we don't have that mural anymore, but whoever puts it in. Is it anyone already?
New slide?
Oh, no, the mural.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
The moose is gone. There's a smiley face and your mural coming soon right now.
That's a nice building.
Yeah, it just falls apart.
Was it ball?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the design after many go-rounds. This is the design that was agreed upon by the group that worked on this, on the sustainability governance group, which you have your mayor and your town manager, and then Sarah's on infrastructure, we're all part of this. So as you can see, after many different choices, this is the design that was agreed upon. So don't read those signs like, oh my God, we're not putting Adventure Park on there, okay? This is just examples of what the signage would look like. So we try to use, to make it look like our community, not like Vale or Aspen or any of those places, and kind of use some materials that kind of look a little railroad. Tell you the truth, everybody liked that it kind of gave a tip of the hat to the train. Everybody's logo would be, when you're in their town, the logo's up there. All of these signs would be built. What their recommendation is, when you manufacture these, that all those pieces come off. So when you want to change something, if you change your logo, that comes off, you can put a new logo in there. So they're very sturdy. If we go to the back.
Somebody crashes into it, it's easy to replace part.
They're all built, so just so you know, they're not, they have to be placed where, maybe if you crash, you're not always gonna crash into a sun. And so you can see the backside of them, again, using the logo would be on the back. You have some of that, like at the bottom, you have ones that they're suggesting to use for the Fraser River Trail. So that then that one's gonna look different, it's gonna look like it's a trail sign, amazing with a screen, that'd be funny. And so this is the basic design of what we would be putting in places. And again, they all can always get changed as things change. Again, they're just showing kind of where things go, close up. Kind of the way it looks in proportion, you know, what's important, and then what's more identifying. This is what they're throwing out there for parking, again, not our decision to make for this. So here's some photo drop-ins. This is what it would look like if we were doing them on the highway here in Fraser. And I think there's general agreement that on these signs, if we can regularly have reminders to people how far away it is. Right? So if you're at the top of Birthday Pass, it tells you, so people know that it's more of that reference for people. There's some more of what they would look like. There's your river trail signs. And then prospective projects, the shared projects would be, so when we talk about Route 40, anchor sequence, that's what's on the highway. How we get top of Berthoud to down and major signage on 40 that gets people around. Then, Fraser River Trail, the orientation map, the chamber will be asking for dollars for that this year in budget, see if we get it or not, and that comes with an online piece, not just paper map. Community sign standards, so writing a plan, like spending money on writing the sign standards plan, so then we pay them to do that, and then whenever you build a sign, whenever any community builds a sign, they have the sign standards, everybody builds them the same. So getting that done. And then parking, and looking at the digital piece, there's just some talk about up at the resort, digital signs that say Mary Jane's Full. And also digital signs as you're leaving that says like downtown Fraser. With a sign that actually points them to turn left instead of right as they leave their ski day.
Just an FYI, we've also been having some community discussions here about a shared sign between the town and Fraser Valley Arts to
Right.
promote events.
Yes.
So there would be another
That's-
interested party.
Okay, this is your master plan. If
No,
you-
I know.
so
I'm
these
just,
are
I'm just letting you know, Catherine,
Okay,
that there's
right.
other
No,
interest in an
and-
electronic sign.
Yes, so what I would say to you about that is when you do this, if you wait until the sign standards plan is written, then when you do your digital sign, you would build it to look like that.
Yep.
So, and then it's up to your community because other communities are looking at how many digital signs do you have?
Yep.
So good luck on doing it. I love, hate my digitals. Well, because they're so expensive. So by the time you build the base, then you go to put the screen in. The screen's as much as the base. Yeah, so, and then they broke out Winter Park projects, they broke out Fraser projects, and these are all things that came up all along from the group. When you see kiosks, no one is recommending that we tear down any of the kiosks that we have right now. It's just, are there places that there should be a trailhead or a kiosk? Design it according to these new design standards. And if the other ones ever need to be replaced, you have a plan in place to do that. No one's saying, oh my gosh, you just spent money on a kiosk, you should tear it down. That's not what we're supposed to do.
Catherine is addressing all of my concerns throughout this presentation. We raised in last meeting about
And what
this.
is in your meetings, I'm trying to put, I am, so you have that. And then the resort projects. So, this is the big piece where that the town staffs are gonna work together, and I'm sure your Fraser town staff is looking for your input on what projects do you think should be the priority on this list? And so Gateway, it's in Fraser, right? There's gateways in both towns. So
Yeah.
is that, if you feel like your gateway sign is really important and it's not in the shared projects, you just need to voice what you think your priority should be. Is it okay that I'm empowering this group?
Yeah, go for
Okay.
it.
So that would be, I think what this group should be talking to your town board about is, we think these three things are the most important for our downtown. And what we should be, I don't know if you help fund it, I'm not sure how that works, but that they're on here. So, I think that taking some more time with this presentation and being able to look at the map and being able to say, we think XYZ should be the priorities. For our that will enhance our downtown and help our downtown businesses to be successful. So, so when you look at this list, there might be some, and then there might be some discussion that people don't agree with you on your board, however your budgeting works. I'm not aware of, but that's really why I came today is to show you what the design looks like that was agreed upon, and also the list of projects. And then I think we have the budget page.
The fun page.
So again, budget considerations, I think, that Merge does think it's important that we look at doing the plan and the standards. And then when we look at the budgets, they're going to give a range of costs because these guys do this. This is their livelihood, so they have a good idea how much materials cost. So when you see amounts appear, it's not fake, and this is all pre-tariff, just so you know. Which I guess right now we're back in pre-tariff.
No, we're not.
Depends what
on who
country.
you're talking to.
And the
So
day
it depends which.
and the hour.
If we're buying it from China today. It's pre.
No, there are KOs that it's not 145.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like
smaller.
40 or 50 or
We
something.
we do have a question from Abby online. I don't know if that matters yet, but we could answer it maybe.
Yeah, she asked, how do you keep the plan cohesive in the years to come? Is it up to the building department to approve the new standards? So you do need to get permits to put up most signs, and so I would think that the building department would be looped in and the code
Right.
would reflect these new standards. This signage applies, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, to signage that would generally be put in by Fraser Winter Park, the resort, working with HTA, versus like a private business sign.
Yeah, this is
Right.
not meant to be your
Which are
sign
typical,
code,
yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But just like you had mentioned with like the Winter Park Resort, right? So if you have like a hazardous like ice melt sign that needs to go up and you're in a reactive state and you're just putting up signage as needed, each town is gonna have to follow that protocol. So we're not gonna end up in the same spot, right? Where you're like, oh, we need to redo all this additional signage.
I think that those are very good concerns that would be put in the plan. That's why you come
Okay.
up with standards and plan, so that there's for sure in that standards, there's gonna be, well, what happens when we have a flood and we think there's gonna be a flood and we need to put up signage. So I think that that would become, it's a good point to raise, and I think that that's what, that would be in the plan, that there'd be contingencies. What do we do when we have to do this? What is it?
Right, and that's like why all the parking signs are going to be blue, and then that would be under a category for cautionary signage or something. And then you just follow protocol, right?
And how do you keep it alive forever? That's
I think-
completely up to leadership in your communities, whether or not it's up to, that's how you keep it the same. Is that leadership accepts that there's a plan and there are standards and they don't deviate from it.
Right.
You just have to hold
Cool.
leadership accountable.
Cool.
Nobody gets fined for being.
One
crazy.
board to another.
What?
One board to another.
Right, yeah. Do we have? there's budgets and- Yeah, so here's some ideas on what the pricing would be. This is to be used for budgeting, so you can see for the shared projects. If we look at the anchor projects, we're looking at between $250,000 and $300,000, and I'm just rounding it up like I do when I do budgets. They did not go, they went conservatively high so that it's realistic. They did not go like low. They didn't lowball these and then all of a sudden you go to do it and it's $100,000 more than what you thought it was gonna be. These are very realistic numbers. If anything, they went a little bit high. The Fraser River Trail project, so that would be a pilot project. And I forget, it's something like 25 signs, more than that, for the pilot project. There was a lot of signs, yeah. And so you can see that's between 250 and 300, and then the sign standards would be 57 to 67 to have that whole plan and standards written, built, agreed upon. Because they don't just go sit down and write it. They're obviously a bunch of meetings sometimes.
And are these prices irrespective of the three entities, the two towns and the
This
resort?
Are the
Yeah.
total for the
Okay.
cost of the project.
Yeah.
And then,
So like the community wayfinding and map, was that like if Fraser decided to do that, that's 57 to 67?
no,
Or
that
that's for
map,
everything?
that map is to do,
Both.
we're not looking at two
Okay.
maps. We're looking at one map from the top of Berthoud Pass to
Okay.
the end of the valley.
So that's all in for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. It's the cheapest thing. That's why I'm gonna ask money for it. At least less than- And we would do that together as a community, just because I come and ask two towns to do, somebody has to oversee it, so we're willing to take that responsibility on. If somebody else wants to do it, I'm happy to hand it off anytime. I'll hand anybody wants to do Rebel in the Park, you can have, it was great fun, but it's awesome.
We'll probably go
So
through
you
the
can see
Fraser
all the
page.
costs, yeah, you can go right to Fraser. So here's a general budget for, what was kind of put in there was, planning and designing, then, gateway signs. Now, they did not, when they priced the gateway sign, it's more what you saw on there. It's not digital and it's not over the highway and it's not any of those things. So that's for a larger sign that was in that grouping of signs.
Does that mean that there's 3 gateway signs? What does the 3
Yeah.
mean? Where
I
would
don't know
the
why they
third
did
one?
3, but there's,
Okay.
and then the community wayfinding would be all the signs in town for parking and directional signage. And then the trailhead identification signs to get people to where the kiosk is. Kind of hard to find at the moment. So that's it. That's the presentation.
That's great.
Again,
It's exciting.
these are generals, just a general master plan. You can talk about the trails. So just so you know, there was discussion about, well, what are we doing about those rendezvous trails I can't find and what would they look like? And should the sign at the bike park match trestle? Or should we look at this design? And Ryan seems to think that you should make it be this design.
So
which
we've
is
already
like
worked
3
with
times-
Trestle on the
3
bike
times-
park designs.
3 times as expensive as a trestle sign, but yeah, so anyway, it's all budget. It all comes, as always, in any of these projects, it comes down to money and what you all discuss as what's the most important thing.
Mhm. Thank you, Catherine.
Like everything about
Appreciate
it,
that.
honestly.
Yeah.
I think the
looks
need
good.
is compelling. I think the designs are fine. I thought the thinking was good.
Mm-hmm.
So just general feedback, I think it's pretty great.
Is there a standard town budget like yearly, or is like all the signage stuff one off?
So we are kind of going into budget season right now. And so larger projects like this are the type of things that we would specifically decide if the board decides if they want to prioritize.
Mhm.
So I believe this will be presented to the towns of Fraser and Winter Park, likely in a joint board meeting, kind of the end of September, to discuss what they want to prioritize on this, and then to kind of commit those funds for the next year. And then they might kind of sketch out what they want to look at.
Yeah, I just had
over
no
the years to
reference
come.
about what does the town spend on signs a year?
Yeah,
compared
we
to
don't
what
have a
that cost
specific
is.
signage budget. So this would be considered, I don't know if you'd consider it a capital improvement,
Yeah.
but we would specifically allocate money for this project.
And we just don't have a lot of signage in general, and I think this is a good opportunity to do that. Because it's hard to find things around here
Oh,
if you're
absolutely.
visiting.
I've noticed a
Just
lot
where
with
you're
the
going.
what's the name of the street next to the post office that was closed? I don't
Park.
remember. Yeah, with that being closed, I can't believe how many people stop by and were like looking for how to get to the trail, because that's how they always get is cut through there. And I was like, oh wow, and like these are people like you recognize from around town, and they're like, oh, what's the fastest way to get around here? And I'm like, well, you can go here or here, right? And it just meeting people walking down 40 with that road closed.
Yeah, well, and it's
So-
funny how you don't think about certain things. Like I had never thought about the Fraser River Trail. Like I know where it is. I know at this point where you can pop onto it, and my mom was in town or somebody, and you're trying to direct them to
Yeah.
where to pick up the Fraser River Trail. And she's like, well, I'm sure there's signs. And I was like, are there?
Yeah.
But like in my head, it makes sense that you go behind Safeway or you pick it up here.
Yeah.
But there's not great signage to
Yeah.
direct people that aren't familiar with it.
Right.
Ultimately, we want people to come to your town and then find everything else, right? So, if they can find the trailhead, that helps them stop in Fraser. So, and get out of their cars.
The one thing I would say, the slide where it they notated like this is better if done together, but they were all listed separately. It seemed those were in the budget, but that would be my comment is to do those together if they recommend
The
it be
shared
done together.
projects.
Yeah.
The shared projects, yeah.
And you will have, so like the Highway 40, if the two communities and the county, right, because they're going to, we do make ed commit dollars also. So, if you're going, because we're gonna go out into unincorporated Grant County, if you do that together, there's definitely economies of scale to do it together. You know, if you're not, if everybody makes signage, then you get to build all the materials, you buy all the materials together. Obviously, you're gonna have one design, you're gonna have one fabricator, all those things. So the more I think we can all do together, the further everybody's dollars will go. Cool.
Right on. Thank you.
Well, thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks for looking at it. I can come back with your, I would just say the reason to show you today is so that you can have further discussion on what you want to make as a, or not. I
Yeah.
don't know if you send recommendations, maybe, you should, yeah.
We do.
So, yeah, so that would, and it is the right time before their joint meeting.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you,
inviting
Catherine.
Thank you
us.
so much.
Thanks so much, Catherine.
Thanks. Have a good day, everybody.
Keep up the good work, whole rockin' babe that you are.
Big events are over. Yay.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
job.
So
All
ne-
right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
And
next
I do
on
want
the
to circle this back to the conversation about the, and I know John keeps telling me not to call it what I'm calling it, but then I can never remember what he told me to call it. But I'm just
Okay.
going to say the kinetic sculpture by the train station.
right.
I want to circle back to that and to some stuff that Sarah has been working on for the train station as well. But to Catherine's point, if we want to have a discussion, if there's certain things that the DDA feels should be prioritized over others, because I don't imagine that we're necessarily doing all of this in one budget year. Maybe we will. I don't really know. What the numbers that Catherine had up there are kind of what have been identified by this consulting group as the likely first priorities. And so again, building out, when she did this presentation to the Sustainable Communities group that's been working on this, I was trying to get clarification about, because we've just had a lot of things in a holding pattern, like the interpretive signage along the Fraser River Trail. Some of it's completely unreadable. The rest of it looks awful, right? Like it's long overdue. Like, is that part of this? And it's not really. It's kind of seen as a subsequent phase. I know HTA has been trying to put up signage. If any of you utilize the rendezvous trails on the Fraser side of things, they've had these nice wooden posts up forever, but there's no signage. Like they put up little temporary laminated pieces of paper every year. So trying to just have a better understanding of the overall timeline and process and what is included and what's not included and what we should keep waiting on further direction for, or what is just totally out of the scope so we can go ahead and do what we want, so to speak, with. So that I know has been, because this has all been kind of a long time coming. When she was talking about the interpreter or the kiosk, I'm like, I thought I was given the go ahead to use our grant money to install brand new $10,000 kiosk, which we just did. So that's why she was emphasizing we get to keep our kiosk.
And where is that?
Over by, there's one over kind of on the Mountain Man Park side of the Fraser River Trail that Andy Miller's company just put in.
Okay.
And then there's another new one that's kind of over by Local Experience.
Okay.
And then we have a
Awesome.
couple more that'll be going in by the bike park.
Great.
And so we are continuing to utilize the kiosk that we have throughout the area at those trailheads.
And that is parking over by Local Experience, behind Local Experience there. That's super hard for people to find. They have no idea that street is there.
Yeah, and given that there's a limited amount of kind of that trailhead parking, it's
It's
kind of nice if you know it's there. 'cause
it's
Yeah.
nice to, you know, it's there.
It's very
Yeah.
limited.
Yeah, it's really limited.
Local Experience is pretty territorial over their spaces.
They
Their
are.
business.
They are.
Yeah, and the way it works when I've looked at like the official maps, there's like a row of parking that's closest to the Lions Ponds that is public parking, like it's town-owned property. And then the parking spaces closer to the building back there are actually connected with those businesses. So it is a limited amount of public parking. But so yeah, so if there's certain areas that you guys would like me to pass along to our board of trustees or Katie to pass along to the board of trustees when they're having a conversation of where you think money should be prioritized. And then moving forward, as we talk about kind of budget considerations for the DDA for next year, there's a couple possibilities. It could be contributing to things that the town is prioritizing. It could be, we really think this is important and the town is not looking to prioritize it in their budget right now. Maybe this is something that DDA takes on. That said, they are larger budget numbers and the DDA still has a pretty small budget to work with.
I definitely feel like the Fraser downtown signs and even the anchor sequencing signs is important. Really like how that one photo inlay picture with it was close to the Lions Ponds where it said Fraser downtown half a mile away and then it said like shops and food half
Yep.
a mile away. I feel like that is like huge because people don't know when Fraser ends. I feel like you drive through and there's just like a bunch of buildings and you're kind of waiting for something and then you're in Tabernacle, like you're in the flats and you're gone. So I feel like I really like that sign. And then, yeah, just a lot of signs saying that this is the downtown or the downtown is half mile away. And that I really like the idea of shops and stuff to do
And
things. And
Freestanding parking signs.
So-
The freestanding Ps with an arrow, I think will be important,
I
as
think
well
so.
as gateway.
So they have that listed first, RTE 40 anchor sequence, and then they have Fraser River Trail orientation map, community sign standards, and parking. That's kind of what they have in the shared projects. And in Fraser, they have gateway starred, they have trailhead starred, and they have map design starred and parking starred. So
Okay, good.
in my mind, that thing,
Great.
like, that's pretty well marked that those are prioritized.
And I will
Maybe.
just say that is what this report prioritizes, and is what I anticipate the boards for Fraser and Winter Park and the resort will prioritize, but this has not yet been presented to those boards. So if you agree with that, then we can still,
Yeah.
The anchor sequence sign, I think, is really important. I think that's like, hey, you're in Fraser now, and it needs to be big, and it needs to be, you know, soon. Like that probably needs to be the first sign, I bet. And just from my point of view. And then I'd say the Fraser River Trail is used a lot. I don't know that it's used a lot in the winter. So if it's like this is happening in the springtime, like if there was a date, if this was chronological, I'd say then personally that would need to go in pretty quickly. And anything parking needs to go in immediately too, I'd say.
I mean, they're still looking at further design for these elements. So I think realistically, and I could be wrong about this, nothing's getting installed before next, probably spring or summer.
Mhm.
Is my understanding. It's a,
Second, what everybody said, I've kind of worked on this theme for a while, in particular when the whole gondola project goes in. I think it's very clear that the resort of the town, it's very clear that the resort down the Winter Park want to create an environment where everybody stays there. And we've got like a 3-4 year window to counteract this. I think everything the two of you said will be helpful for drawing people to the Murdoch Shopping Center and then past Safeway. I think one huge advantage that we actually have is Towns done a really good job working on parking on a low cost methodology. The parking around the Mural Park and by painting all the parking spaces on 40 has been a huge game changer. And I think, weird as it sounds, parking is going to be a huge advantage for us. Because if they ever rent out that space in their own, and in 4 years they rent out one space, it's actually, I think I've heard it's the pizza.
The first.
No, the Mexican place.
the taco place.
From the resort into the town of Winter Park. But if they ever rent out all that, I didn't, sorry.
Thank you, Katie.
If they ever rent out all that space, there is nowhere in Winter Park to park. And so I agree, we need a sign that says, shopping, stores, restaurants, breweries, distilleries, parking, trail, whatever, I mean.
And the good thing is a lot of our shops here and restaurants have pretty noticeable signs. So
Yeah.
like driving by, it's easy to
Right.
see the distillery.
Yep.
It's easy to see Birdie.
Yep.
It's easy to see any of that.
Abby's got her hand up.
I had a twofold question without going into the parking, like merry-go-round. That area that's right next to the tracks, which would be, spacing the road across from, where I guess people park parallel there and sometimes they'll park perpendicular. It's right before you go over the tracks on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no designated parking. Is it legal to park there or is that considered?
By the railroad tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah, so guess this will be officially on record. The town's approach has been that because that is owned, as I understand it, by Union Pacific
yeah.
Railroad.
Yeah.
Railroad right away.
So we have been careful on how much we formalize that parking.
Mhm.
But that people are directed to park there, and nobody has ever complained about people parking there. There are some designated spots right in front of the train station.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think that's a great use of that space. Nothing else is going in there right next to the railroads. So it makes sense for people to park there. A lot of it does end up as kind of snow storage in the winter
Right.
months, but I think that's a great parking option.
But we can't create it we can't develop it further, in other words.
Correct.
Like is more formalized parking.
Correct.
There has been trepidation, I guess, in trying to go through a formal process with the railroad company.
Because they might just say, no, you're
Right.
trespassing.
And then what do we do? Whereas right now, nobody's said anything. So
Yeah.
whether that trepidation is actually justified and this is the right approach, I've never talked with Union Pacific Railroad. I have no idea, but that's been the direction that we've taken.
Okay. And then the other question is, what about the wayfinding, like as we talk about being a access to Tabernash, access to Granby, like a throughway? Do we have, I know this is a bigger picture, but do we have the ability to connect this company with Tabernash, Granby, and so forth to see if that wayfinding can continue? To say, oh, like so much further is Tabernash Tavern, or you're leaving Fraser, entering Tabernash.
Right. So for better or for worse, Granby recently did their own wayfinding.
Okay.
And this was brought up when this was started. And I think Catherine's approach with the chamber was kind of helping to spearhead this, and their jurisdiction went as far as Fraser, and they just didn't have the capacity, bandwidth, desire to kind of extend past that. But that
Okay.
the way this was being developed, this could easily be adopted by other communities in Grant County if they so chose. So if Granby wanted to get on board and do this, it would be very easy to throw up their logo and adapt this to them. I don't know that there have been formal conversations with Granby about that. And like I said, I know they just did their own wayfinding. I think if nothing else, leaving Fraser, it would be easy enough in my head to take one of these anchoring signs and just let people know Tabernash X amount of distance, Granby X amount of distance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you do Grand Lake or Rocky Mountain, because again, those are popular places that
Yeah.
people are going.
I think as long as Fraser, the resort, and Town of Winter Park are the gateways, as long as those are on every sign, that's a huge benefit to Fraser. To
Yep.
be on every sign where someone's driving 50 miles an hour, not knowing where to stop, that they know Fraser's 2 miles, 6 miles, 10
Yeah.
miles. I think that's priority number one, and something that should be, she wasn't getting into detail on who's on what sign, but just making sure all the gateways are on each sign that mentions a gateway. Like there's not a sign or two that's Winter Park Resort, not Fraser. Like you're
Good.
still counting to Fraser.
Yeah.
But I think
Good point.
being on those consistent signs is a great, way better than doing something unique that's only seen when you're in Fraser. I think like getting eyes,
Right.
driving by to stop, nowhere to park.
Right.
One other suggestion, I know we're in the middle of some comprehensive planning going forward for the town. It would seem logical that if, as part of that planning, we're trying to solve the parking problem, notwithstanding all these other issues, that there be a hub of some sort where we're directing visitors to park. And it would be logical in my mind that the signage, the information, and so forth emanates from that hub. As an illustration, I used to spend a lot of time in Heidelberg in Germany, and they had, they called it the hub, where it was near the train station, it was near the public routes. And when you would come to that spot in several languages, you could easily then choose a hiking trail, a cycling trail, shops and restaurants. Everything from a signage standpoint emanated from there, along with some overall maps that you could take a photo of or QR code link to. And it really worked well. Right? And obviously high visitation of people who are from all over the world. So something to think about.
I think that's kind of like Buena Vista as well.
Yep. Buena Vista is similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're making me think of our little kinetic, and you could also, I mean, I like the symbols and things. You could do like, you see a lot of places that have like the welcome in all the different
Yep.
languages, and
Yep. And you hop out of your car and you just go or get off the train and you walk up to there and you go, oh, okay, I can go there, I can go there, I can go there. And then this signage takes you from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I did want to show you what Sarah has been working on.
And before we look at it, I guess like now that I've listened to Catherine, I don't know whether I would use that Explore Fraser or the town branding, just so everything's cohesive.
Yeah.
So think about that when you look at this.
Well, and in a similar fashion to the approach to the Pacific Railroad, I think there's been a trepidation about trying to work with Amtrak on things like this, and getting formal approval. But we have been talking to them about, they're working on ADA improvements to the platform there, and they're trying to get ADA improvements in the station as well. And so we have formally for the first time asked, could we put a sign up on the platform? So that is part of the discussion. But do you remember how to make this?
I think we should stick with the regular Fraser to be consistent.
I do too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too, listening to her. Like, I think it would
Yeah.
confuse
Have a
people
QR
maybe.
code that they can
I
scan.
like the
that
icons,
take
though.
For Fraser.
Yeah, I would like, again, this is like kind of high level. I think the icons are fine. I think they look a little generic to me. I want them a little bit more customized. But that's just my.
So she's got a few versions, but yeah, I think you could mesh this kind of with somewhat of the look of what they're going for.
It kind of reminds me of the Venture Out sign at Winter Park a little bit.
Mhm.
It's like, I think it's kind of cool to have Explorer on there. But I believe the font could be the logo or something.
I mean, we
But
could have-
then it would be like mixing two different brands. I think you either go with one or the other.
oh,
And if we're having the town logo all over the place, all over the town, I think it's better to be
Better.
consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And then the last one. Oh, this one.
that one would look really nice with the town logo
Yeah,
Mhm.
compared to the
Go
other.
back and give me a
That'd be
different
perfect with
version.
the town logo.
Sorry.
I think lawn mowing is a thing. I think I'll have them go back and like do a different version with our town logo and
Nice.
then those brand standards versus the Explore Fraser.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And I think it works with the signage.
Yeah.
The-
I think
The
that-
whole fish thing. Do people really fish the Fraser here?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
A lot of people. do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, apparently it's one of the larger activities in the area.
Like in town.
Yep.
Yes, oh yeah, and it's good fishing.
Yeah.
From County Road 8, pretty much all the way up to the containment pond above Winter Park.
And I think I would add like something like a paintbrush or something like that for the creative stuff.
Yep.
Of course.
Yeah,
Cool.
that section has a really good reach and cool.
But this,
cool water.
like, especially if we used our town brand standards, would be something that we could do after we talk to the rail or Amtrak, of course, that we could do pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, the other thing about the fishing, much like mountain biking, you may or may not fish in town. You may or may not ride a trail that's in town, but you come to town to do those
Yeah.
things. So
What about the entrance into the town? So if this is at the Amtrak, is there going to be something similar for
Yeah,
the-
so that was on the plan we just looked at. That would be the 40 sign.
okay.
And-
Yeah, that would be part of the monument
Yeah.
gateway. I think they're calling them gateways in that plan. And Catherine was concerned about me sending you the presentation beforehand and it just not making sense or being overwhelming without the explanation. But I'm happy to pass it along now, so that you have that for reference.
I don't know if I'd do a beer drinking,
That's what I was just thinking.
like, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but people are gonna go to the distillery, whether they, but I don't know. It seems like to advertise that seems odd.
It is the one thing
It
that
is
people actually
supposed
do in town.
Well, totally, but like, when you
Yeah.
come to town, like, to drink, I'm gonna go drink, I'm not,
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I say stick with the logo and leave
Yeah.
off the bells and whistles there. And
Yeah.
just have the town of Fraser kind of announcing it and keeping the info back down off the highway where people get off. Once they're off the train, they can look and see.
That's a
what's
good
there.
point. Do we
Well,
even need the icons? Maybe
I-
it's just Fraser in the middle and then,
I
Yeah,
like
I think
icons
just-
though. I feel like people are just, not to say that their brain cells are getting smaller, but I don't know. I think it's a good reminder.
I agree with Abby, and I know it's common sense that there's gonna be bars and stuff, but when you get off the train and you see that cup of beer, you're like,
It makes you thirsty.
awesome, let's go get a beer. Otherwise, it's like, cool, we're in Fraser.
It's
Like,
true.
what do we do? But it's kind of it's a very easy, if you will, wayfinding of
Yeah.
being like, oh, we can go biking, we can go skiing, there's music, there's beer. But yeah, like, and I really like I mean, we don't have too much music, I mean, just once a week, but we want to include and increase the music. But I do like the guitar really symbolizing that it's kind of a folky town, and then maybe
Mhm.
adding another one of a paintbrush or something to increase that it's an artistic town too. Yeah,
And
when
having
you
it on the train platform too, I think of people who are not stopping in Fraser but are getting out to stretch their legs.
Right.
And something other than just the name that maybe piques your interest
Good
the
point.
next time around. Maybe you plan a trip back to Fraser or something.
yeah,
especially because in the not too distant future, we will have people taking that train to go elsewhere. And
Yeah,
so their return trip, their next trip might include us.
It's interesting because Ayers had a picture in the plan of development that they had taken of all these people getting off the Amtrak. And I'm like, we never had that many. Like, where is this picture from? We never had that many people getting off the train in Fraser. But you do, they just
We
get
did.
right back on the train,
Right.
right? Like, they're stopped for 10 minutes, they're stretching
yeah.
their legs, they're looking around.
Yep.
So I think
So
it's trying to
left.
capitalize on that as much as the people that are like intentionally getting off in Fraser on that journey.
Yep.
And we might be able to work with one of the businesses across from the platform for putting up signage, because a lot of them just get out and stand there and look around. So food for thought, off the platform, private land, and we can make whatever we want.
I mean, the cool thing about that platform is it's up high enough to where you can really see the mountains. So it might actually be, I don't know if we talked about this before, but a selfie stand up there might be good of some sort.
Yeah, but it's with working with the railroad. They're not gonna.
But if it's on the
hard.
platform, it would be working with Amtrak, which we'll see what happens with the sign request. I'm more optimistic
Okay.
at the moment. We have a contact they're responsive. So they probably don't want us to completely fill their platform with all our signs and selfie stands, but if they're open to it, I think that would be a fun place to put it. Yeah.
I mean, it gives their customers something to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And
you're
I
adding
think
to
it's
them.
actually an opportunity for a future mural commission, when we or they redo the platform. If we can design in a space, we could have as the result, the reward for the mural festival of a future date, be that commission, and have a super cool, memorable, Instagrammable mural there for the visitors to see.
That included Amtrak. and
Yep,
Fraser,
sure.
yeah.
Sure, and maybe pays homage to the history of the railroad, right? So you
Oh.
get off, you Instagram it, and every single day you're getting clicks.
Another thought, I keep walking over there and looking at the kinetic sculpture and just the view from there. You have the backside of buildings and not much land. I mean, it's just not very attractive right now in a few
Right.
different ways, right? It's the backside of a building. It's not specifically landscaped. We have these beautiful flower pots all over town in the summer, but we've got some right by the train, but across the street. But there's also like the backside of the Ace building. I think would be an awesome place to put a mural
Absolutely.
that would be viewed from the train.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
think you could do some cool
Totally.
different art stuff back there.
Yep.
Oh, just,
I agree.
I mean, it's probably not gonna happen anytime soon, but does Ace own that vacant plot of land between the road and the building?
Yes.
They do know,
They,
yeah.
they do now, okay. Cause
few years.
I'd just be curious if something would go up there after they did a mural, but that's what I was thinking, a mural there too. Cause it is kind of ugly. if we
Yeah.
make
Well,
beautify it.
it's metal, so you'd probably want to have something that's painted and mounted. I'd imagine, maybe not. And then it could be moved if they
Oh,
did an addition. If it
Yeah.
survived that long. In our UV.
yep.
Cool.
So on that note, I wanted to go back to this guy. So I have gotten different direction at different times, but at this point, I was kind of checking in with town staff about the feasibility of this and moving forward with this. And they would like it to go to the Board of Trustees. And while I was trying to avoid the wayfinding, knowing that the wayfinding study was going on, I do see that there is some overlap here. So I think in terms of taking it to the Board of Trustees, they need to see that wayfinding piece first and then consider this in conjunction with that. One idea would be to take this as kind of an initial, along with those kind of what we're looking at with designs for that signage and kind of have it mesh, which I think this easily could.
Too.
So just wanted to get your thoughts after seeing the wayfinding. One of the things that was brought up was even if this is not meant to be wayfinding, that spot there could be a good location for formal wayfinding. So just trying to consider this holistically with everything else going on, recognizing that there's probably going to be some future development in that area. So just wanted to get your thoughts on this project and this idea in light of what you've just seen with the wayfinding. If it's something that we want to put a pause on, if we feel good about continuing to move forward, just recognizing that it might take a little bit more time for the board to be presented with the wayfinding and then put this in front of them for approval.
I would think you'd want to pause on it till you know exactly what those gateway signs look like and know what everything looks like from her presentation, because that bottom half kind of looks like the gateway sign she showed. and,
Right.
like, is that a way to make it the same, but then unique to Fraser?
Yeah.
I think you'd want to wait till you have all that info personal.
Or the freestanding with the logo on the top.
Yeah.
And then the
like-
directional lines.
And I think that
would work well with the fire hydrant.
because there's so much wayfinding around it, then it can really just classify as art at that point.
Because potentially I could see this going on one side of the street and the official wayfinding on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Right.
And this would be designed such that it could be unbolted and moved, but that's not to say that there is not still expense in that installation if it gets
Yeah.
moved 6 months later. Like we would want to avoid that. But if it needs to be moved, a couple years later because of something that we can't necessarily have fully designed at this time, that would be feasible.
Yeah, I mean, somewhat piggybacking on your comments. perfection can also be the enemy of progress.
I agree.
And I think that it's likely that this wayfinding thing will, proceed down a path over the next year, as will this. And I would think if you made an acknowledgement that as that project runs out, you will do everything about, with this design to accommodate the same brand. And you can still have the conversation. You could still get it approved in the budget. You could still have the wherewithal to act next year when its clarity is achieved. That's what I would do.
And the final design standards, I don't think we'll get until sometime next year. So we could wait for those, or I think we have enough with the images and but I think just in terms of taking it to the Board of Trustees to have them approve the DDA putting this in on their property as a kind of symbol
Yeah.
to Fraser, they at least need to see that wayfinding piece first. So there's a question of, do we just wait for that to happen and then present it this fall? Or do we wait until they've finalized all of that, probably sometime next year, and then bring it back for discussion?
So thinking about your idea of a mural on the side of the Ace Hardware that
Mhm.
faces the tracks, something like that, or a vertical. What would, just off the top of your head, Steve, what would something cost? Let's say a long rectangular mural,
So-
Fraser, and that had little blips and
10 to 15,000 bucks for something that long.
so maybe that's something simple that we could focus on in the interim. It's art, it's informational. People getting off the train, they always take pictures of the divide, and if we've got something on just below it on the building there, it's
feel-
going to get the word out.
I feel that would get the word out better than this, because this you have to stand next to it, whereas, I mean, this is a lot easier because it's not on private building, but you have to be next to this, so people on the train aren't gonna see it, and only people that are going to the vet are gonna see it. Right now. But yeah,
You might
people.
see it from the train, but
And they're
we
moving
put it
the-
up of a sign.
Yeah.
The access on the platform down, it's on the north end more between K and J and K, which is by that far stairwell.
Exactly, and there's a lot of
And-
people there.
Yep.
And yeah, if that mural did have like the history, Doc Susie,
We're talking about
mountain
Ron's building.
biking, everything like
No,
that.
we're
it'll
talking about the
explain
Ace
the
Hardware.
town a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But
Up
yeah,
on
it might be a
Ron's
better
building.
Oh, the side of Ace being
Yeah.
painted?
point
Yeah.
of money
That side that
and
faces.
right now
and
with
way
all
out
the
back lot is
question up in
Can
the
something-
signs.
Can you even do that with a franchise?
It's privately owned.
They're all
Are they?
they're privately
Yeah.
owned. It's a lot like some
Mhm.
hotels. They all carry the Ace brand,
Yeah.
but they're privately owned.
Okay. So it'd be up to them.
And it's a very community-minded family that owns
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
would
know.
need
And
to talk
especially if they
fees.
didn't have
Yeah.
to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right, which has been what we've done for almost all the murals in town. That's, paid for by the town.
How much would this sculpture be?
The price, as these things tend to do, I feel like kind of increased
We
through
looked
various
at last year.
conversations. I think we were looking at about 20,000 all in, including like the installation and the concrete.
How high is this? Would this be?
That
big.
would be to be determined.
Okay.
You'd want the base big enough, I think, that the snow plows, if they happen to hit it, didn't take it out.
Just-
One thought too is, I mean, I've been thinking a lot just about the DDA and its role and what's happened throughout the year. Art and beautification are common things that a DDA would do. I also recognize that we have a public arts committee that puts in murals and sculptures and things like that. And I think it's okay if there's some overlap, but just keeping that in mind. And we've talked a lot about a lot of different possible enhancements, mural park, snow removal. Somebody brought up early on, we never really went down this path, but having historical signs and like a little historical tour and maybe QR codes that you could scan. That it might be worth just having kind of as we look at next year and finishing out this year, some sort of facilitated discussion where we kind of throw it all up there on the wall and really try to kind of prioritize, be that just with the DDA board or bringing in community members and, you know, business owners and trying to engage folks. One of the things that DCI offers through their membership is you can do this, and it's a new tool, so I'm cautiously optimistic of the value it might bring to Fraser. But they really try to gauge, I think, just your readiness for development and what would make sense. And they, as part of our membership, will do one kind of facilitated discussion or training, but that it could be worth just kind of taking our work plan, taking our plan of development, all of these different things that we've talked about, and having like a facilitated kind of discussion of filling in that work plan with these priorities and some more specific projects, because the work plan is pretty general. And just trying to plan out, you know, the year versus throughout the year being like, you know, looking at something and then looking at something else. So that's one thought as we're particularly as we're thinking about the budget for next year, keeping the budget pretty general, but doing this either in the fall or like January, to kind of move forward with planning moving forward. Because I think we've talked about a lot of great ideas, and some of them work, some of them don't. By the end of this year, we should have more direction with the wayfinding signage piece to some degree. We also should have the comp plan finished up by this fall. So there's been a couple things that have kept us in holding patterns that hopefully we'll have a more complete picture of and can better move forward with projects.
I would just add that after seeing this,
Where's your mic? Thank you.
I would add that after seeing this very favorable whole wayfinding project, it makes me think, we should just completely put this on hold, because it may not fit in, and some of the other wayfinding might be more immediately productive. And I would wait until the board sees the whole wayfinding plan and even rethink, is this the right approach and is this the right spot?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, you know, especially while we're building any budget, right? Anything they can do to jump on board with, maybe there's, yeah, they have a great plan, signage is good, but man, we'd really like one more here, right? That's when it'd be easy to step in, to kind of, you know, jump on board and like, okay, piggyback on something to be like, okay, hey, this is all good, right? I know they have budget for this, this, and this, but we can help fill out this, you know, while we're waiting for some of the bigger things.
Do you guys want me to have an initial conversation with Ace and see if they would be open to something, a mural on that building?
Personally, yeah,
What?
I think,
for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy thing, and the national coverage we could get through photos would be huge.
Okay.
I mean, that seems
I
like
just-
something cool that no one else is really going to look at. You know, bang for the buck would be pretty big, right? It's just hard. Like I said, I love this idea, right? And want to do more of this, but it'd be interesting to wait just a little bit to see what
Yeah.
the
Agreed.
respective
Yep,
towns are
I
going to
think we
jump.
should put
jump
this one on
forward.
hold.
But I
Yeah.
think we're all itching to get something
There's-
done too. So
Yeah.
20 to 100 people stepping off that deck a day.
yeah.
I have one.
do-
second
I do love this space ship. Just gonna chime in on that. I do think I think it sets us apart. Like what I keep hearing, talking to the community is, can you guys really help the town keep its motto of like keeping Fraser weird, or, you know, that funky vibe. It might be too random, but I just do like the aesthetic regardless of all the budget stuff.
Maybe
I
we can
was-
throw one into the mural.
was just gonna ask that, 'cause I feel like last year, like the last few years, there was like a lot of spaceship and leaving planet Earth and everything, and I feel like I just kind of dropped off. I haven't really seen it too much. Like, just curious on the history of that. I am just very naive on the foundation and if we're still pushing that way, or who.
Well, I
thought of
think
it.
Katie can give us a little history
Well,
lesson,
here's
and then
what
I
I'll
can
do.
let Sarah speak to its
Yeah.
future.
I'll take a picture of the program that they had for our last Leaving Planet Earth party, and there's information from the two men that created it,
Okay.
and it's really good background. You know, and yeah, it's good background. So that way everybody just has that, or I'll bring it by and we can scan it and you can throw it out in the board packet.
And a side note on that, maybe like if we do put the sign up, say leaving planet Earth, because I'm really confused of why there's a spaceship in Fraser, Colorado.
Yeah, well, that's actually probably really great feedback.
And
which
I'm
I'm
on
really
the
not
DDA
familiar
board,
with.
and I'm still confused.
Yeah.
So there was a road sign that people threw up overnight. It looked like one of the state road signs, and it was going to be something else, but there wasn't space, and they put "Leaving Planet Earth," and somebody took a photo, and it has lived on to something.
And it had to do with the community at that time being smaller and just feeling like it was a whole different world. The Fraser Valley was a different world than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But we're not so different anymore.
I've always
Everything's
thought
moving.
it had
Like Sarah
two
had said, a lot of
meanings.
people are kind of over it.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
Sarah's put a lot of work into this, and as you recall, I suggested a while ago that you come and present the brand message that you want to get going forward. But maybe you can comment a little bit about it.
I mean, as far as the leaving planet Earth thing goes, like it's still around and I'll use it for some marketing stuff that's fun. But if it's from the town of Fraser, like the town government entity, I won't use that because
Yeah.
it's just not very professional. And again, people are confused with the spaceship and the alien. And like Roswell, New Mexico does it better than
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, totally. That's what I was.
There's a page on leaving or on Explore Fraser that explains what leaving planet Earth is. Again, like I will still get the stickers printed, but I'm not really leaning into it. I keep it around just because the community loves it.
Okay.
But from the town's perspective, I won't use it.
Yeah, and some of
Yeah.
the community loves it.
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
My ear bent number of every year at Mural Festival about people who think it's tired.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
there's
It's been
stickers.
50 years since that sign went up.
But again, from my
Almost
perspective,
50.
having that spaceship on the top of the wayfinding thing is not great.
Yeah, that was
Um,
saying.
because it's confusing. They're like, why do you guys have like some history of like an alien landing here? It's
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
little strange.
That's
Oh my
kind of
gosh,
what-
that's
That
true.
out.
That
Known
bag.
for outdoorsy stuff and
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
that was kind of like my thoughts after Steve spoke on the wayfinding kinetic sculpture thing. Like the more wayfinding it is, the more I feel we shouldn't do it right now. The more abstract and art it is, like I think that's fine. But I do think if Ace is open to a big Fraser mural, downtown Fraser even or whatever, that's a better opportunity. And I think like from a DDA perspective, we can fund an art piece, but not really be controlling how it has to say DDA or Fraser or whatever.
Yeah.
But if we're funding something that is informative, it should be a little more vanilla and in compliance with whatever else we're doing.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. So contact Ace.
Okay.
See what they have to say.
I'll talk to them if you want to kind of think about ideas for what sort of mural, what it would look like. If we do go that direction of putting out a call, we can have that discussion at our next meeting in terms of how much guidance we want to give, or if we just want to kind of.
Kind of like the signage that we're thinking about on the Amtrak, but something Fraser, and then visuals of some of the cool stuff that happens around here. And it's
And
beautiful,
history.
you
Okay.
know, with movies and fish and a cold one and maybe a whatever. A
Yeah.
big skleef man. No, maybe not.
And Sarah Wick and I could always help inform that conversation. But one of the things I'd say to them is what we'll typically do is, we have a roster of hundreds of mural artists from the last 3 or 4 years. We could put a call out to them with some specifications of the things we're looking for, take their suggestions, and would work with the property owner to make sure that whatever goes in there, we have a nice sketch beforehand. It's something that they're comfortable with, that also meets the DDA's requirements. You all would be part of that process. And we do it every year for the Mural Festival. We're doing it right now for this year's Mural Festival winner. So we can just apply that same process.
Okay.
And make it 16 feet instead of 8 by 8. 4 by 8
Yep.
and 2 of them.
Well,
yeah.
Think about all the murals on buildings here.
Yeah.
Those are all from people who won based on their 8
I
by
know,
8.
I
Yeah,
love-
Yeah.
Right, but
They're
not
used to
8 by
going
8.
big. They're used to going big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not big, but horizontal.
Yeah,
kind of
the
square.
fella who won this year, who's about to do Camber, he's got some that are 4 stories tall.
That's awesome. And which one was that?
It was the motorcycle biker grandma,
Oh, she did win.
Yeah.
Good.
Jeremy
She was amazing.
Velasquez from Rifle.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
That's not the mural he's going to do, but
No.
that's the one that won.
Gives me goosebumps. This is good stuff.
All right, so it sounds like we'll put the sculpture
On hold.
wherever we call it on hold for now. We
Yeah.
can revisit
Maybe
that,
future art.
and we will look at possibly a mural on Ace. So I will talk with Ace, see if they're on board, and then if so, we can work on a call. I don't know if realistically we could get a call out and have it done before.
No.
Yeah, so we'd
Because
probably
you
be
need-
looking at.
You need to be painting, within 60 days of now, if not 45.
Right.
That's like a.
But first thing in the late
Mhm.
spring, early summer, sure.
Okay.
Should we
Can
make it?
still go through the planning process before that and then
Yep.
plan it and then
Absolutely.
Put the
hold
call
on
out
for
and
5
have it.
months?
Yeah, and ideally would have the design locked in, by February, March, and then we just wait for the weather to
Perfect.
clear.
Okay.
Enlist
sounds good.
Joe's help.
Do we need to make a motion to put sculpture on hold and move forward with a mural on Ace?
I'll make that motion.
Move on for discussion because we still have to get permission from Ace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
yeah.
putting it on
Right.
for discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like trying to get permission.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
I
Okay. Should we move on to the application info sheet now, or do we still want to talk about wayfinding?
No, I think we're good. So I sent out an email. Hopefully you all saw it. We do have it open for DDA board member applications. I do apologize. At some point I got in my head that DDA terms were up in October. What happens in October is we appoint officers. So statute dictates that happens in odd years in October. So in October, we will be appointing officers for the DDA. In the meantime, however, the DDA board terms, because they were staggered starting out, we had 2 terms that expired after a year. And so those were officially in June. So Tiffany and Bill were our 2 board members that were staggered to have their terms end in 2025. So we went ahead and opened up applications. We had an ad in the Sky High last Friday, I believe. And then we have the information up on our website. There was an issue with the link, which I do believe is fixed. So the ad in the Sky High has a QR code. It should take you to this page, correct? Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah. And then there's a link at the top that takes you to an info sheet just to kind of explain how the DDA board works. And then you can click to the application, which is a form center. And this would have been what you all filled out last year. So the form's the same. We ask for a resume. We've asked them, they're due August 25th. With the idea that that gives me enough time to get them into our board packet to go in front of the Board of Trustees at their September 3rd meeting. As the Board of Trustees does appoint board members. So I would ask that you help let people know, particularly if there's somebody that you think would be a good fit or somebody that's expressed interest in the past, that these applications are open. Tiffany and Bill are more than welcome. I've spoken with each of them to put their hat back in the ring. And you guys have both been great members. So one question I would ask the DDA board in terms of your recommendation to the Board of Trustees. We started with 11 members. We're down to 9. Our bylaws allowed a board anywhere between 5 and 11. I think initially the Board of Trustees was looking at probably a 7-member board, maybe a 9-member board, but we got so many applications, we wanted to kind of catch that momentum and engagement. So if the group did want to make a recommendation as to whether we stay at 9 or go back to 11, or we base it on the applications that come in, I think any of the above work. But that is something that Brian already asked in terms of what the board recommended.
I think we've had mostly 9 people at our meetings. So I kind of feel like the 11 is on the pro side, nice to have because then 9 of us are always here. On the con side, it's hard to deal with 11 people, right? All the time. Someone's always out. So, I would probably recommend that we go to 9. That
But
would
you're
be
still
my-
gonna have people out.
You're still gonna have people
There's
out,
always gonna
but
be
we'll
people
still
out.
have the minimum. The minimum is 5, right?
Well,
7.
so we need a board of at least 5 people, but
Okay,
in
so-
terms of having an official meeting and having official votes, you need
Yeah.
a quorum. So
And-
that would be the
Gotcha.
majority of whatever number. So like if it's 11, that's 6. If you go to
Right.
10, it's still 6. So I would recommend 11 versus 10
Mhm.
11
kind
or
of
not.
thing. If you go to 9, then the quorum becomes 5.
Mhm.
And for me, that's the main reason why I'd try. I wouldn't change the the range, but I'd try and keep it around 9. 'Cause
9.
that way, with 5, we've always got a quorum.
Yep.
And we've never struggled to achieve that number.
Never.
Okay.
I will say, yeah, for the most part, this
Yeah, I
group has
agree.
had great attendance. I will take this opportunity to remind you, if you can't make it to a meeting, please do let us know. Our last board meeting was the first meeting where we had 5 members. And so as we were waiting for people to come in, it was, are we going to have enough? So it's just helpful to know if you're coming or not. And sometimes we have items on the agenda that are maybe, I don't want to say more geared towards a particular board member, but it might be your area expertise. And so if you're not there, it makes sense to do it at a different meeting kind of thing. But generally, this group has, yeah, we haven't struggled with having a quorum.
I also feel that it should be at least 9, not 7, since
Mhm.
with both of us gone, we're dropping down to 7 and you already opened up applications, so.
Who am I forgetting about?
It doesn't mean that you
Nick?
can't be
But
reelected.
does that mean you?
But
Sure.
you guys wanna limit it at 7, then it's.
Right.
We already have
Pick one.
applications out and then you're gonna
Abby,
say,
Nick, that's
we don't need anyone.
Yeah.
After
Oh,
applications are already in. But.
Does Kate,
Right.
does Katie
I
count?
mean,
Katie counts, yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's.
Yeah.
I was like, am I missing someone? Okay.
Well, they
Fine.
all they would do is that they would just you put your name back in the hat, and they would say that we'd rather have you because of your resume. That's all, or that you've already done an outstanding job. That's you would just get voted back in, right?
Yep.
That's all it would be.
You'd get
But,
appointed again.
Hey, if there's a better candidate, there's a better candidate, right? For any of us.
should
Well, and
I
I've
limit it
been-
at 7 since the applications are already out?
I don't see us going to 7 at this point
No.
unless somebody felt
No way.
strongly. I think the question is, do you
11 or
nudge?
9.
Do you do 11 or do
Okay.
you say if we get great applications, we'll go to 11, otherwise we do 9. We do have 2 seats that will open up next year automatically based on those terms being staggered. And then again, there could just be that natural attrition that we
And-
experience.
No, I
It's
don't just,
like, hey, if there's a bunch of applications like last time, I was like, I'm also surprised that a lot of people applied and like we're here, but then like no one shows up. So I was talking with Sarah
Yeah.
offline, and I was like, hey, if there's a bunch of people that like want to be on the board, great. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of expected more people,
Yeah.
to come and
Uh-huh.
so
do the board.
Are you guys?
is there anyone here that it tends to not return? No. Okay.
Would you guys want to return?
That's the only thing that I told Sarah is I was like, hey, I just kind of felt bad. Like I said, there
Yeah.
wasn't more people. Like,
So then let's say 11, and then we have 2 available seats for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
See what comes in.
So let's stick with 11 for now.
I'd
And
also say that I'd like to see both of you, if you want to be on, stay on.
yeah,
If
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
later
totally.
Time.
You
I
guys are
think
really
each of
helpful.
you
with it.
have a unique expertise,
Mhm.
different from everybody else.
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
want to do it,
And a
I
history
would
with
really
us.
like to see both of you stay. And
Yeah.
if we get a bunch of great candidates, maybe that's what you're saying, then bump it back up to 11.
yeah, that's the other easy.
But
Yeah.
maybe wait and see what the other applicants are. If there's no
Right.
one that brings in a unique additional skill, maybe,
Yeah.
and the both of you want to be on, then we keep it at 9.
So do we need to make that decision prior to, or the
You
board?
don't. It's not. It's
Then
up to the
yeah,
board of
it's fine. 'Cause
trustees.
we can have
I
up
just
to
if you
11.
had a recommendation,
Yeah.
a strong
Yeah.
feeling, I would pass that along to the board
Okay.
of trustees
Yeah.
to
Not
consider.
to put you on the spot, but do both of you want to continue?
Yeah, I actually applied already.
Great.
Yeah.
You're already ahead.
Good.
Yeah.
Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany's got an issue.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I would just say
Thank
that
you.
like we should
Get it off the
remind
list.
people that it's like totally like an easy discussion here. So if we do get a lot of people that come, even if you don't get on the board, like show up to the meetings, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that would be something great to look at for next year and just to be discussing this fall is how to best engage the community.
Right.
We did have one person come to our DDA community cleanup and happy hour.
And that was Andy Miller.
Andy Miller. I shouldn't say one. Andy Miller came and my 2 children came and we recruited 2 of their friends that lived off the back alleyway behind Fraser. Oh, so myself and the 4 children and Andy Miller.
So thank
Trash
you,
and
Sarah.
But just continuing to figure out what would be beneficial to businesses and residents within the DDA and how best to kind of connect and engage with them to try to get more participation in meetings
Well,
and
to Ashley
conversations.
said, if there's a better plan and focus for each
Yeah.
one, earlier,
Right.
that would be easier to get some people to come.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and
Or
next
something.
summer maybe we can
Yeah.
do an event in the mural park. Something fun.
So I was talking to my aunt about a board that she's on, and she said that they require every board member to post when the meetings are, which would help. I could do it too,
Square.
obviously, but on Instagram or Facebook or whatever your socials are, if you have them, and then that you're required to be at one event every single year and bring 10 friends. And that is,
Sounds like a
and
jungle
they
list.
grew, they grew massively, and they were able to raise way more money that way too, because people got way more involved. And it only took a few years of that before it was like overwhelming the participation.
Yeah, and I
That's
think if we
cool.
try to map that out in advance, things can change, opportunities
Yeah.
can pop up. But otherwise, I know for myself, I'm like, oh gosh, it's April already, and we were supposed to do another coffee hour. So, just as much as possible, trying to kind of have that vision and just need to execute.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's not like we can just write these requirements. The bylaws are there, but we could make a suggestion that hey, if we all attend
House.
one community event from the DDA and bring friends,
Yep.
1 friend, 10 friends, 5 friends, who knows?
Cool.
There could be stuff like that.
Good idea.
Yeah, and we definitely don't need to do things just for the sake of doing them. So if we find that the things we're doing aren't really useful to to anyone, we
Right.
can, we can do something else. So
Right, and I think posting on Facebook's huge. I don't do it enough. I know that about these sort of things. But if there wasn't like if there was a hey, this is an important meeting, 3 of us posted, that would be the entire community that saw that. I guarantee it.
yeah, but we'll do the community cleanup in the spring when Katie can come because she knows how to get people to come to the community cleanups.
Well, and just not
Yeah.
like the cleanups, but like the meetings, like wayfinding meeting. This might have been a good one to have more people at. Because God forbid we put up a sign somewhere and the whole town goes nuts over it. You're like, man, you could have been there. Could have been sitting there, listening and putting your opinion in.
Yeah.
So which
And they'll get
meetings?
a chance with the town.
Well, which meetings should we prioritize? Nobody wants to go to a town meeting, though. That's the issue.
Yeah.
They would way rather be here with
Yep.
us wonderful people, right? I know that.
Not so intimidating.
Yeah, what topics do the most people show up for?
Oh.
Parking? No.
Yeah.
Stuff I don't like.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Hopefully we're
Yeah,
not doing
that-
it. It's inciting.
Yeah, once the GDA has the ability to purchase properties and negotiate deals with developers, we might have more participation.
True.
I
For
just-
better or
hey,
worse.
Know that these type of meetings I would sit in on and be way more entertained than sitting in on a town
Yeah.
meeting. I almost am always bored.
Well, and one idea too would be to do like a DDA coffee hour or something before, maybe we do it from 8 to 9 before our meeting and a
Sure.
meeting that we think would be of interest to people. And, they don't have to stay, but they can stay, or we can kind of integrate that
That's a good
coffee
idea.
hour with the meeting, particular discussion that would be useful
Yeah.
for.
Like Catherine's presentation would have been good for other people to see for sure.
The town hasn't seen it yet.
Doesn't mean that they can't give.
Yeah,
We're here to give the opinion to a town, so are other people.
that's true.
I would
Yep.
totally want other eyes on that. They're walking around going, oh, that would be good if there was a sign there. I mean, it's just like the rest of us. We're technically town people.
All right, so in terms of a recommendation to the board, what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, is after circling around, we came back to 9 is a great number, but if we have people that want to continue and we have new blood that seems like they would contribute, then 11 works as well, and
Yeah.
there's
Yep.
value in that.
Totally.
Okay, Cool. All right. But yeah, please do help spread.
Abby got her hand up. She waved, what's blinking up there? That's something else.
I
It's like a
not
little
have any.
star.
Okay, good.
That's
Uh,
the AI.
Hi, Abby.
I'm just
I'll
listening to
post-
y'all that through. Thanks, guys.
I'll post the application link on my Facebook. Does anybody else want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I can share what you're doing or
And I sent you guys the ad. If you want to use that, it's kind of got a nice graphic. It might be more visually catching.
That-
And then that QR code will take them to that application.
did we talk to the people that did not make it or the people that we were tied with or? Remember?
I could definitely reach back out to them. I don't think that's a bad idea. Do you kind of feel bad if I reach out and then somebody's passed over again? But there's no making sure they are aware because there were a couple people that may be interested in.
I can send it out to all. of
Well,
them.
and we can send it to those
And-
people as well.
Also, Sarah and I went on the radio and talked about the application process, so that is some more exposure for that.
Did you hear back from Ryan about doing a spot?
I didn't. I saw him
Okay.
walking the other day. I almost stopped and just jumped in front of him, but
Okay, it might be worth just reminding him because, I mean, if you were to do it, now would be the time to do it.
it would be the time, yeah.
Yeah, or next week. That said, most people applied last year. I think we maybe had one application before the day of the deadline, and the deadline was at noon, so they literally all came in that morning. Maybe we had a couple before then, but
I'll go ahead and call Ryan.
okay, cool.
One
Thanks, Park.
One question, I know the people who bought the bakery at our next project were wanting to come in for a property tax. A proposal for like a property tax rebate similar to an economic incentive that was granted to the hotel.
Yep.
And I know we'll do that in the future too for some stuff. Is there just email you to get on the agenda or what should I direct you to?
Yeah, I would have them reach out to me. We would use that financial investment policy kind of as a guideline as to what we would consider and potentially approve. So let me actually look at that document in terms of I feel like there's some guidance in there on how that should work. But yeah, I would have the merchants contact me.
Okay.
And I did talk with Carrie. She's interested in being on the board. But it sounds like she won't officially be a property owner yet by the time, so I think she's going to look at it next year since
She's
they
gonna
don't
have her
actually own
hand.
the property yet.
Well, she
Um,
could be, yeah.
And it's dictated by state statute.
Yeah.
So if it was just a town thing, I think there could potentially be more flexibility
You
there.
could be a
But
business licensee, right?
yeah, but she would have to be operating the business, I think. I guess I don't really know. She sounded okay with waiting till next year.
No,
I'm trying
Probably
to
would
think
be
of
better
when
if they're asking for a tax break. I don't think someone on our board can do that, can they? For themselves?
Sure, they just have to recuse
Yeah,
themselves from
recuse
the
them.
conversation.
Given how small, our community is,
Yeah.
it's almost
Almost
Yeah.
impossible to
For
avoid.
better or for worse, that
Okay.
there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, right. Well,
All right.
Greg,
that's just
if her business is primarily wholesale, which I've heard that is her focus, there won't be sales tax.
I think that is their focus, but it may be shifting. I think with the Clayton Court improvements to try
Okay.
and,
Just
that
might
was
be
the
help-
initial, I think it's definitely fluid right now.
It
because
might
of
be
what they're
helpful
doing.
for her to understand that.
Yeah, well, and I think her ask we don't control sales tax anyway, that would be through the town. She was asking more for the property tax rebate through the DDA
Increment. Yeah.
increment, yeah.
And I will put, I will try to channel Troy. I feel like the initial thoughts would be what, for lack of better language, can the DDA get out of it for the DDA? Are there any improvements in that area or
Right.
things? And I'm thinking about that little piece of property. I don't know what that would look like exactly. And does she need that money to make her pro forma work? Is there a gap otherwise?
I
I
think
think
that's what it
that's
was
question.
originally said, right? Like if you give that tax incentive back, then they need to be making an improvement that we would make, basically.
That has generally kind of been Troy's approach.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in downtown Greeley for the conference, I went on a tour, and there's kind of this one set of brothers that have done a ton of development down there along Main Street, and there just really hadn't been any new development for a long time. And they were getting their tax increment back largely as an incentive to get that development there. So I think there's a couple different ways to look at it, but generally it is an opportunity to say this is kind of our vision for downtown, and to work with developers to have them contribute to that vision. So, yep. All right. Are we good on that? I think we've largely kind of been discussing the upcoming project planning and 2026 budget. If it works for the board, maybe Parks, you and I and Nick as the treasurer can sit down and look at the frame of a budget to bring to the September meeting.
Sure.
And then if we can agree on that budget at the September meeting, that gives us time to get in front of the Board of Trustees for approval. The Board of Trustees overarching kind of town budget is generally approved in like November. But I think ideally we get it in front of them just in case they don't want to approve it. That allows time for it to come back to the DDA to adjust it, to then be approved as part of the larger town budget in November.
Okay.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet.
Okay.
You want to do that in the next few weeks or?
Yeah, I contacted the assessor, and she is working kind of through that estimate for next year now. Hopefully it'll be a more accurate estimate this time around. But once we have that, then we can look at it. I largely envision something similar to what this past year's budget looked like, that it's still fairly general as we're kind of working through what makes sense for the DDA.
Okay.
But it'll include some new increment from largely like the townhomes and that bakery property. I think will probably be the biggest differences to the assessment from the previous year.
Sounds
So we
good.
should have a little bit more money, hopefully. The town did purchase a property within the DDA that will now be exempt from property taxes, as I understand it. So we lose that, but I think we should get more from the townhomes and the bakery than what is lost there. And then if there's been any other changes anywhere that the county assessor is picking up on. I also looked a bit more into the treasury rate because it seemed higher than what Troy was used to seeing in terms of the amount of money that the treasurer is collecting. They're collecting 5%. Based on statute, however, we are what's considered a fifth class county, which I had never heard of before. The classes relate strictly to, again, as I understand it, to what they are able to collect in fees in taxes. And so it seems to be that as a smaller county, I'm guessing the idea is that it is more of a burden on them to do this assessment so they can collect a larger amount of fees. And so
that
the
5%.
statute dictates that they have the ability, the right to take up to 5%.
Gotcha. Okay.
Of our DDA assessment.
You have it.
So, yep. All right.
All right. We have any other updates or anything? No updates?
I'll just say the bike park is still moving along, and we're still shooting for completion the end of October. We're doing pretty well. I think we're gonna be able to build it out, fund it in full. That said, we would still welcome any sponsorship. So if you know of any businesses or individuals with extra cash that would like to sponsor, feel free to send them our way.
Send them my way too. Does someone want to make a motion?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good meeting.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you
Yep.
all.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Abby.
Bye, you guys.
Aye.